happy Thursday. Kimberly here. I wanted to pop in today and chat a little bit about the disease process according to Ayurveda, how Ayurveda understands disease, and some things that we can do to prevent it based on this understanding. So Ayurveda actually has a very elegant explanation for how disease develops in the body. And it breaks it down, Ayurveda breaks it down into 6 different stages. I'm gonna share an overview of these 6 stages and then some important things that you can do in order to prevent disease. I'll kind of share some of that along the way, and then at the end, one final step that you can take to really ensure disease prevention. So in Ayurveda, we recognize that illness is the result of a long process, right? We don't just wake up one day and have a full-blown disease. There's steps that happen along the way, and it progresses, and we may or may not be aware of those steps. Part of what Ayurveda does is to help develop our self-awareness so that we can pick up on our body's subtle cues and stay ahead of the game when it comes to illness and disease. Catch it right at the first warning sign of imbalance and address it right then when it's easy to fix. But we're not always tuned into that. It's not always possible to address things right away. Maybe we know something isn't good for us, but we're kind of having a hard time taking it out of our lives. So we go through these stages. And the first stage is called accumulation. So Ayurveda recognizes that all disease begins in the gut. Basically, we take something in and we don't digest it well, and that undigested stuff becomes toxic to the body. And the beginning of disease is when that sort of toxic stuff first begins to accumulate. Our digestion is off for one reason or another. Either we're eating foods that aren't optimal for our body type or optimal for the climate or season that we're living in. Maybe we're under a lot of stress and our digestion is suffering. Maybe we're eating at poor times of the day. We're eating most of our food late at night. There's a whole host of factors that can contribute to why we're not digesting our food well. But that's generally where disease starts, is we don't digest our food well, toxins begin to accumulate in our gut. And usually at this stage of disease, we'll start to notice a little bit of discomfort, maybe gas and bloating, maybe a little heartburn or nausea, maybe feeling heavy after we eat and sluggish. So nothing that's gonna like stop us dead in our tracks, but just a little bit of like, oh yeah, that's unusual, or that doesn't feel great. And this is when disease is the easiest to address and recover from. And it's not even really disease yet. It's just kind of a minor imbalance. And if we act right away, it's very easy to fix. And in fact, our body will usually respond intelligently to these kind of minor symptoms by craving things that are going to bring us back into balance and feeling averse to things that are going to take us further into imbalance. So say I've eaten a really heavy meal late in the evening. It was someone's birthday. They had a birthday party and a potluck, and there was all this food. And so I mixed lots of different kinds of food, ate the most food that I ate in the day late in the evening, and then topped it all off with ice cream cake at 8:30 at night. And then I went home and went to bed. So the next morning, I'm probably gonna wake up and maybe feel a little nauseous, maybe feel a little extra tired and fatigued. Nothing major, nothing crazy, but my body might respond by just not having any appetite. It recognizes, hey, I just need to work through all of this food you scarfed down last night, so don't give me anything else to do. And so, having no appetite, if I listen to that and I let my body just work through all that food and skip eating until maybe lunchtime or later in the day when I really feel true hunger coming from my stomach, then I'm probably fine. I'm all good. If I don't listen to those cravings and I think, no, it's time for breakfast, I'm going to eat my breakfast because I have a long day ahead of me and I can't be hungry later on in the morning. So I'm going to make my usual bowl of oatmeal with ghee and raisins and cinnamon and ginger. And I'm going to eat that even though I really don't have an appetite. Then if I keep ignoring these symptoms and sort of overriding it with my mind and not listening to my bodily cues, then that accumulation of toxicity in the gut starts to become aggravated. So this won't necessarily happen like day one if you don't listen to what your body's doing. It's not like after I eat my bowl of oatmeal, then immediately I'm gonna experience this aggravation. But I might, depending on how sensitive my system is, how weak my digestion is, how many different ways I'm maybe pushing my body's limits. So in this next phase of aggravation, the accumulation is really starting to build here. And the symptoms start getting worse. So maybe now I really feel nauseous for, the entire day, and my stomach does not feel settled. I look at any heavy food like ice cream or cheese or bread, and I just think, oh God, no, I do not want that. But the discomfort, it's still generally localized in your gut. So it's still kind of contained within your digestive system. And now maybe a little bit of a deeper cleanse is needed to recover from kind of continuing to pile up this accumulation of toxins. So maybe then I feel really disgusted by food and I do decide, okay, you know what, I'm gonna fast for an entire day and just listen to my body, not eat anything at all, take it easy, maybe drink some ginger tea, help my stomach feel a little bit more settled. And then, maybe I bounce right back from it after doing that. Or maybe I have another birthday party to go to that night. It's all these people's birthdays in my life. And so I go to the birthday party and I think, I probably shouldn't eat too much. But, oh my God, they have my favorite type of pizza and I just can't help myself. And so I go ahead and I eat the pizza. And then who can say no to birthday cake at the end of the night? And so I eat birthday cake. Now it's really, I'm like, taking my body into a deeper state of imbalance here. Generally at this second phase of the disease process, we still have healthy cravings. Our bodily intelligence is still trying to guide us in the right direction. But, as I said, I saw my favorite pizza, I did the birthday cake, I overrode what my body was really signaling me to do. Then after this sort of aggravation really builds up in the gut, the toxins leave the gut and enter our circulation and start looking for somewhere, a weak spot in the body where they can hide out and make a cozy little home. And those weak spots are generally places where we've experienced trauma, or maybe we have some kind of genetic predisposition. I know for me, everyone on my mom's side of the family has very weak lungs. We're Irish, it's genetically predisposed. Irish people have like some of the worst respiratory systems of all ethnicities, is something I've heard anyways. I didn't do a ton of research to check if that's true. But anyway, I know that my lungs are a weak spot for me, and my respiratory system is very sensitive. So the toxins from my gut start circulating, and they say, oh yeah, let me get up here in these sinuses. This looks like a nice cozy spot where I can hide out. And so then I start experiencing sinus congestion, maybe even sinus headaches. I might start to have a little bit of a cough, coughing up mucus. And so here, it's getting harder to kind of nip this thing in the bud, right? It's not going to be now just a matter of fasting for a day and I'm going to be okay. I'm going to need to start doing some deeper cleansing, maybe doing my neti pot every day, maybe having some trickatoo with honey, bringing in some herbal supports that are really spicy to help liquefy all this mucus that's building up and get it running out. Yeah, and I'm gonna need to really watch what I'm eating. Maybe just doing really simple broths and ginger carrot soup, really light foods, vegetables, things like that. And so again, still in this stage, the body is retaining some of its intelligence and still trying to usher us in the right direction. If we don't listen and we don't act now, then the toxins sort of deposit in wherever that weak spot is and start really causing some trouble. So this usually begins to affect the normal functioning of the tissues there. So I might not be able to breathe through my nose anymore. It's completely stuffed up. Given, for following along with my example, which is something a tendency that I have experienced many times in my life. So I know this one well. And so I can't get enough air in. I can't breathe properly. Then at night, I'm sleeping with my mouth open. My throat starts to get sore. Maybe the mucus starts really building in my lungs also, so that now I'm coughing a lot. And you might, in this stage, is when you start to experience like the prodromal signs and symptoms of a disease, those beginning signs and symptoms that a disease or illness is coming on. If the condition is not resolved at this stage, then disease may develop, because in the next stage, we call it the manifestation stage. This is when you really feel sick and it is stopping you in your tracks in one way or another. You can't function on a normal basis and you need some kind of medical intervention to help you here. And these tissues in your weak spot, wherever these toxins are accumulating, these tissues begin to actually change. They become deeply affected by the toxicity there. And then finally, in the last stage, is the complications stage. And this is where structural changes have actually happened. Things in your body are different now than before you first started experiencing any symptoms. And it's evident. You're noticing these changes are very obvious. They're impeding your normal function, normal flow. And then here, it's really hard to get back into balance. It's definitely going to require some medical intervention, and there may always be some kind of lingering consequence from having let the disease get this far. So the benefit of knowing all of this is that it brings awareness to how we can prevent disease, how we can intercede at these different stages to cut things off before they develop too quickly. So Ayurveda has a whole host of tools and insight to help us develop a healthy sense of self-awareness so that we are making ideal choices for our body moment to moment. Ayurveda also recommends, and this self-understanding is a huge part of preventative medicine, and that's really what Ayurveda aims to do. It aims to set you up so that you're living well, you're making healthy choices so that you don't ever get sick. You're preventing it because you know your body's strengths, you know your body's weaknesses, you're paying attention to its subtle cues, and you're responding accordingly. Another important step in prevention, according to Ayurveda, is doing a seasonal cleanse. And this is particularly useful right at the beginning of the fall season and right at the beginning of the spring season. This is when our bodies have generally accumulated the most toxins and when it is most imperative to flush those toxins out. So even if we haven't been paying attention to everything, all the subtle cues that we've been given by our body, or eating perfectly in line with how we should be eating, or making all the best decisions possible, doing a seasonal cleanse allows us to hit that reset and refresh button for our entire system, our gut, our skin, our sleep, our habits. It's a total system upgrade, right? It's like, you know, when your phone says it's gonna do an update overnight while you're sleeping. The cleanse is like a system update so that you can really flush out any and all toxins that have accumulated and reignite your bodily intelligence and sensitivity to guide you in making ideal decisions for your well-being. And so that is why I am hosting a 9-day online guided cleanse, Ayurvedic cleanse, coming up in the fall. We're gonna have a free info session to learn more about the cleanse, and that will be on September 15th. If you want to register for the free info session, I'm going to break down how the cleanse works, answer any questions you have about the cleanse, make sure you know what to expect. It's very easy to do an at-home Ayurveda cleanse while you're still working and taking care of your family, and you're not going to be starving yourself or fasting. But we're going to go over it in the info session and make sure you get all your questions answered. So that, like I said, is going to be September 15th at 7 p.m. You can register for it on my website, indraholistic.com, right on the home page there. So it's INDRA holistic.com, and I'll put the link in the comments under this video. And then we're going to begin cleansing September 27th to October 5th. That'll be the actual cleanse. So I hope that you'll consider joining us and giving your system a little bit of a reboot and some extra TLC so that you can have a healthy, vibrant winter and really boost your immunity, support your digestion, balance any weight issues that you're having. The cleanse has a whole host of benefits. And just the cleansing process in itself is something that I start out with so many of my one-on-one clients with. I recommend that they do a mini at-home cleanse just to get their system rebooted. So it's oftentimes like the first step toward optimizing your health in Ayurveda. So yeah, feel free to drop any questions you have below, and I hope that maybe I'll see you at the info session. Have a great day.